Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you're all enjoying MURTEC. I would like to introduce Doug Cook, Senior Vice President and Chief Technology Officer from Jack in the Box, to the main stage. Kristen Flemington, Vice President of Consumer Marketing at Dutch Brothers Coffee. Darla Morse, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer at Red Robin. And Kevin Rice, Executive Vice President at Hathway+Bounteous. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you to everyone on LinkedIn for tuning in live. I think last time I checked, there was 100 or so people tuning in live. So appreciate everybody for participating today. We've got an awesome panel. We're going to be talking about how to kind of evolve your marketing technology stack to achieve business outcomes. We recently conducted some research, so we'll share a little bit of the learnings. And then there's some materials that will explain kind of how to use as a framework to plan your evolution within your organization towards the end. So with that, maybe everybody could introduce themselves briefly. We'll start with you, Darla.
Sure, turn my thing on there. Hi, I'm Darla Morse, EVP and CIO for Red Robin. I've been there since last April, so just almost quite a year now.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Cook. I'm the SVP and CTO for Jack in the Box. I joined that organization last summer, and then prior to that, some engagements with Pizza Hut and Sonic.
Kristen Flemington. I head up consumer marketing at Dutch Bros Coffee. So I've been there for about 2.5 years.
Wonderful. Thank you guys again for joining.
Thank you.
So just to kick us off, I'll kind of frame the discussion we're going to have around some research that we conducted over the last month or so. We've been really digging into kind of how consumers are perceiving direct communications from restaurant brands as a whole, kind of as an industry. As a company, we work with 35 or so kind of large chain restaurants. So we want to kind of keep apprised of the trends, what's working, what's not. So we frequently publish this sort of research. And basically what we're seeing is that as a whole, restaurants are largely missing the mark. So as brands are acquiring more first-party data through just more online ordering and more identified transactions, we're really not operationalizing the first-party data to communicate in a more contextually relevant way with our customers. And so we went out to this panel and we asked them what's working, what's not, what do they prefer. First and foremost, they're basically saying, like, we're not opening communications because they're not relevant to us. You're not using the information that we're providing to you to communicate in a way that speaks to me on a more individual level. And as a result, we're all making investments in technology, but again, just really not maximizing the return on those investments. So what we want to talk about today with our panelists here is kind of where they're at in their journey to evolve their marketing technology stack, how that's helping them better engage and communicate with customers, and just kind of get some lessons from along the way. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Yes.
Awesome. So first question, I guess just to level set, is kind of where are you at in your digital transformation journey as it specifically relates to your kind of MarTech stack? And Darla, maybe we could start with you.
Sure. So I would not recommend this, but we started down our path, and it took us like 5.5 months to implement an iOS and Android and upgrade the website. I think from a process perspective, I would say starting down the path, because probably most of you here already have, you really need to have a plan. And I think from a MarTech stack, when I came in, there was some existing things, but we did do a lot of new stuff like Hathway. We have Punch as our loyalty, Salesforce marketing for our marketing cloud, and we're now going down the path to look at a CDP. So I think we're building that process that was kind of get out there, get known, for having, I mean, we were, I think, at the last one to the table, actually, on the mobile. At least that's what I was told. So I think getting out there and getting known for that and then continuing to evolve and build your stack is really the path and journey that we're on.
Yeah, so I'd say ours at Jack in the Box is similar in our digital journey, I guess you would say. We're basically reinventing ourselves. I like to look at our environment right now as kind of a 2.0. 4 or 5 years ago, we put an app, like many of you, ordering platforms, into the hands of our consumers. We have Punch for loyalty as well, and basic offers and rewards for those guests. But now, for us, it's about kind of reinventing, as I said earlier. We have kind of individualized programs and solutions, maybe point solutions you would describe it, that don't talk well to each other and aren't integrated well with each other. And as a result, we don't really have an underpinning architecture that we can grow with. And so we now are on this journey, just basically 2 months ago, starting with Hathway and other solution providers, to establish a new MURTEC stack and grow our business accordingly. So I would say that we're, again, back in the beginning stages, but we're learning as we go. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. So Dutch Bros has been on an interesting journey with Hathway. From a long time ago, we were taking cash rather than having an actual POS until like 2017. Mm-hmm. So we are rapidly working to kind of get up to speed, but trying to wait to do it well. So this past year was really exciting. We together, as a team, launched the Dutch Bros app, new website, and we're implementing our CDP and a messaging platform. So really getting our marketing technology up to speed and best in class.
So this is a great panel because you have really the whole spectrum of kind of just getting started, kind of building the foundation to, starting to accelerate in this kind of digital maturity process. Each of your organizations had a loyalty platform, and that almost acted as kind of like a default customer data platform. It almost acted as kind of a default campaign management or CRM tool. But at some point, every one of you decided that there was more technologies that were necessary to really, build out a more robust marketing technology ecosystem. Could you share kind of your thinking around what was the motivating factor, what was the impetus, what drove you to move beyond just a loyalty platform and start building out more advanced capabilities with these additional technology platforms?
Can we start?
Sure.
So we are not there yet, so I agree with you. CDP is really kind of the next evolution for us, and it really is important for a couple of these reasons. You need the ability to, be contextual with your guests, but you need to understand the behaviors. And a loyalty platform does not really give you the data analytics behind it. So it's really about having the right data, the right people. I think the people is the other component of this, having the right resources that can do your scientific data analytics, because those are the details that will be input back into your model to be able to help you understand what the behaviors are of your guests and what you really want to target them for. I think without a CP, you're kind of shooting in the dark a bit, and it doesn't give you the detail around what you really need to be able to market appropriately.
Kevin, for us, we own a CDP. We have not implemented it yet, and so that's part of the initiative underway with you, as you know, and your team. And so I guess more to come for us on what it can do for our business. I think the thing that we believe we're missing, is we don't have a unified view of the customer. And so we don't know how they're engaging with us through all aspects of that guest journey, all the way from engaging them to taking their order, making their order, paying for the order, delivering the order, and then finding ways to re-engage them. So in many ways, we probably have 3 or 4 customer repositories inside of our 4 walls. Maybe I'm the only one in the room like that, but getting a single source and a single view of that guest, so that we know what they like, what they don't like, how they transact with us, where potentially our digital touch points are tripping them up. That's the vision and the thought that we had going into the acquisition of a CDP and some of these marketing automation platforms.
What were some of the criteria you used in order to determine what was the right platform for your organization? Because there's many options out there. One size definitely doesn't fit all. How did you look at the evaluation criteria to decide what's the right technology for your organization?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I apologize if I'm punting here a little bit, but when I got into Jack in the Box, the platform was purchased, and handed to me and said, "Hey, can you make this work?" And implemented. So I know the team went through an exhaustive RFI process and the standard kind of vendor selection process. I don't have all the details, unfortunately, Kevin, to share with you in the group here as to what are those qualities and attributes and characteristics of a solution that we were looking for. But I get the fun part now of making it work. So I'm looking forward to it.
Life, yeah.
MURTEC 2023. I'll come back and we'll tell you what we discovered there.
Great. And Kristen, how about yourself? Kind of what drove you to go beyond just a loyalty platform to start kind of building out your tech stack? What did you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, Dutch Bros is kind of obsessed with customer service. Any of you guys been to Dutch Bros? Really friendly baristas, really personal experience, right?
Have you
So
been to Jack in the Box before?
we give them coffee. So, but you never go to Dutch Bros and they're just like, try this drink. They'd be like, oh, what are you looking for today? Like, what's your vibe? Oh, you like that? Maybe you'd want to try this. And we really feel like technology can be kind of a silent driver that can kind of serve up. We want to mirror that great experience of the window with our technology. So before it was kind of scattershot, hey, everybody, try this Rebel drink, and half of our customers just wouldn't really care. So making sure we're able to talk more specifically to our customers and also just use our dollars better to send the right marketing materials to the right people and A/B test and see, hey, is this landing or not? Because before there was a lot of that was cool, right? And we're like, maybe. So now, it's really great to be able to kind of test out some of those theories and see what's really working and what's not and what people are actually, responding to.
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the lessons learned too is when you are investing in a customer data platform or any marketing technology, it's the recognition that this is a going concern. It's not necessarily a one-time project. You're not, it's not a 3-month thing that you do it and you're done. There's continual evolution of how you continue to bring in more data sources, how you can optimize those data sources and use them to automate various marketing communications.
Yeah, I think all four of us are aligned in trying to share that message with the group today is treat what you're doing as you said, as a product, right? We hear that a lot, that buzzword, product versus project, but you need an ongoing investment and you need to treat it as such because you're growing a capability within your company that your guests want from you, right? And so not only does it require, in my opinion, kind of dedicated staffing, but it also requires dedicated funding. And so I always sort of talk internally. I did this at Sonic when I was there and also at Jack in the Box. It's just like your food platforms if you're running restaurants, right? You don't just roll out chicken and then stop investing in chicken. You keep using that raw material and those product sets to build new and better food innovation. Same thing with technology in many ways. So just something to keep in mind. It's easy to say up here on the stage, and then you have a CFO sitting next to you that wants to know exactly what you're going to spend and how much it's going to cost and how do I capitalize this thing. But we can talk maybe at a different time about strategies for convincing a CFO and your franchisees to invest, but it's a good point you make, Kevin.
Yeah. So Kristen, since you're the one organization that's maybe a little bit further along in implementing a customer data platform, are there any kind of lessons that you learned along the way that you could share with the audience?
I would just say, when you're looking for the technologies, make sure you look at how it relates to the rest of your technology. And, when you're talking to the vendor salespeople and they say, oh, we're integrated with that platform, find out what that means, go through the process, really dig in. And, if you've got a marketing automation tool, you got to think about the people that are running it. Anne's back there, she runs our loyalty program. Talk to her, she's a genius. But look at what it actually takes to set up those campaigns and do all those parts of it. And then also when you have the technology, just making sure you have the people to support it. Once you do launch it, those people have enough time to learn it. And then you have enough runway to, once you do launch it, start testing it and make sure you know how to use it before you're promising big returns. So anticipate all those little lags and don't overpromise. Be realistic with what you're pitching and how you're going to get there. And kind of crawl before you walk, before you run.
Yeah. So are you telling us that you can't just take for face value what a salesperson is telling you?
I mean, you can. If you want to.
So you had a loyalty platform, you implemented a CDP, and then the next step was how do you leverage first-party data? How do you operationalize it? Can you tell us a little bit about, and we'll go through each panelist here, kind of what was that next step of now looking for an automation platform? What were you trying to accomplish? What was the process, or even like what did you learn along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, again, just being able to reach out to our customers on whatever channel they want to be reached out to, and, not just sending text message to everybody, but kind of make sure we're catering to the right audiences in the right way. And yeah, I think, we do a lot of testing, and I think the testing is not just the offer, but also the creative and the timing and the products. So just a ton of testing to see what's resonating, and then the things that work, we scale.
And so what were you trying to unlock, again, by kind of taking that next step of, going beyond just your loyalty platform, implementing like a really robust marketing, suite or automation tool? Like what kinds of capabilities or unique opportunities, what were you trying to unlock by taking that next step?
I mean, I don't want to keep being, saying the same thing again, but speaking to our customers more specifically and giving, we talk a lot about gamification within our app and everything we do. So we want every single offer that we send out for the customers to be like, oh, that sounds cool. And you can't do that when you're using a broader customer, data set, or if you're talking to somebody who only opens emails via push notifications. You got to meet them where they are and find out where that is and create awesome customer journeys to be able to cater to that.
Yeah, I'd say, Kevin, we're farther back, as I mentioned earlier. We're in a stage now where we're trying to segment guests and put them into categories where we can target them with specific offers for that segment. We talk about personalized offers, and for us, it is kind of taking it to the next level, being level 0 right now, kind of going to level 1 maybe. But for us, it's leveraging email, leveraging SMS, leveraging push, and that were some of the motivations why we chose some of the automation platforms that we have today, is that those capabilities aren't there today to even talk to our guests in new and different ways. So again, kind of different spots in the journey, but got to start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, I think that, when you think about personalization, I think part of this is around choosing tools that will integrate with your stack, but also getting tools that are going to be robust, because you don't want to, this is not an easy thing to do. And so swapping in and out, takes time, takes money. So you want to make sure you make the right decisions. I think getting to the right offers and understanding the behavior of your guest is really important, because you all know when you open up emails, there's certain one you just delete because it's not going to be applicable. And so I think getting it to the point, and I think I always say retail has done this great. They send you that 50%, and you're like opening it because you're not going to buy just one. And so how do you get that same adoption in the hospitality side? I think it's really about knowing that you have the right offer for the right person. But it goes back to my data analytics. That's really where we all have to be, right? We have to know more real time what will make the attraction and the swipe, but also we have to know what won't, so that we're not filling up the spam folder.
Yeah, I use the word personalization in the title of this, but I think the real way to describe it is more contextual relevance. Like, I think we all know, and there's plenty of data to support, that most people are making dining decisions within an hour of when they're going to dine. So, being able to communicate with customers at the right time, not the morning if you're trying to have them come in for dinner, being able to use their past purchase histories to, again, communicate with them. You're not trying to promote meat products if they've always purchased vegetarian, so things like that. So I always like to throw it out to the audience, and we have a lot of people in the audience, and I know a few people came up to me earlier and said, I want to ask a question. Hopefully there's not too much heckling.
Is that you, Joe?
So before we continue on, I'm gonna, if it's okay with you guys,
Yeah.
throw it out to the audience to see if anybody would like to ask a question. Sure. Yes.
Now that you're on the queue, so I've got a quick question. So let's say you had all the tools and the visibility to see how you're interacting with your customers. Based on the fact that a lot of the QSR industry is heavily franchise-based, excuse me, how would you entice them to make these changes?
So just to repeat that back, so all the technology, all the tools, all the people, but you still need to convince your franchisees. Incentivize franchisees.
I think it's one of the toughest questions, and it's one of the toughest things to do. What I've found that works well is you have to bring them along with the journey. So this isn't like you come to them and say, here's your check you need to write, and you need to do it by this time frame. It really is having them invest, because if you think about a franchisee, this is their business. This is their livelihood for a lot of them, and this is their family. So this isn't just like a job that I go get a different job, right? This is, I got to make right decisions. I think with the pandemic, if anything positive came out of this, is it probably accelerated the whole digital track, by a couple, 2 to 3 years. And it also showed, as a franchisee, I need to be there. I've seen, I look across the street at McDonald's, I see this happening, and so I know I have to be there. I think the incentives, I think there's lots of things a company can do. They can give them relief on their royalty payments, or loyalty payments. They can give them relief on, some of the things that they're paying on a monthly basis just to get them caught up. And then I think from a technology side, we have to be a really huge advocate for them and help them, right? Help them along the way, get the good deals. I've always been a great tough negotiator when it comes to that stuff, and I think giving them the opportunity to leverage that, they will appreciate it. And what I've seen is it does pay back in dividends, because they will come along. It may take them a little bit, but they'll get there.
They were laughing when you said that you're a tough negotiator.
Just a little bit.
They must know something about
That would
you.
be my Disney training.
I would echo everything Darla said. To be honest, we were just talking about this. I think it's the number one challenge that we face as business technology leaders, right? Because we're in the business, we're helping to drive revenue and improve margins. That's what we're there for. At the same time, the expectations are never higher than, in my opinion, than they've ever been before. You said it right on, Darla. I think COVID and the pandemic accelerated all of this for everybody. People, consumers especially, demand digital dining experiences. And so in many ways, I heard a board member, one of our board members say it the other day, we're in a digital economy. We won't survive if we don't make this investment. Just tell them, we've got to make this investment. That's easier said than done, clearly, right? But there's a component to that. I think that all of us now are realizing that a level of investment like never before is required, in some cases, just to keep up. And we have some of these same tactics that Darla mentioned. We find ways to incentivize them through using some of our capital to invest in things that are more heavy lifts for them to get them over the hump. But we've come to an agreement that, and maybe this is the way it is in your brand, we'll do all the upfront development, right? We'll get it all into production for you, and then we need you to make the contribution to keep it running and enhance it. Because a lot of times, franchisees, they just don't understand technology like we do, and they think, well, why does it cost so much, number one, and number two, I don't want to pay for this. I got margin pressures, I got all these things in my business, but for us, we just try to find ways to offset those costs as much as possible. I'm not as good a negotiator as Darla is, but I may leverage some of her services in my brand too. So.
And for us, I think we're really lucky. We have amazing franchisees, but I think, the same principles go towards franchisees as to when you're pitching it to your executive team. You just have to, I think our team really believes in transparency and bringing people along the journey. And with our franchisees and rolling out, the app and some of these other technologies, we've brought them along and showed them kind of the survey data and some interesting information, some of the reasons we're justifying it. And then even going into testing, we test with some of our franchisees and have feedback rounds. And I think allowing people to ask some of those questions during the process before you're like, hey, this is your thing, deal with it. I think when you can kind of work through some of those hard conversations along the way, by the time you get to launching, there's a little bit more support and buy-in. So our franchisees have been great partners to us, but it's definitely, we want to just be like, we've got to figure it out. Here you go. But they've honestly, some of our franchisees and field members have brought us some of the best insights for some of our marketing tech stack. So,
I mean, you're really talking about having business level conversations with your
Absolutely.
franchisees, and that's the thing that has really changed about, the IT over the last handful of years is this kind of consumerization of the role of IT. Like, we're creating consumer experiences that have a very, large business impact on the organization. It's no longer just, back of office, point of sale integrations. We're actually creating the consumer experiences. And that means we have to have, those kind of business level investment conversations that these are no longer cost centers. These are, ROI drivers, and, they need to be positioned that way. Does anybody else have a question?
Then employment with iAuto. In the past life, I worked with the large QSR, and one of the things we did was local activations, right? So, I don't know, like in California, when the Golden State Warriors were winning something, you get free fries. When the Washington Nationals in DC win a game, you get free nuggets. Do you have any plans to decentralize those offers and allow the markets to do local activations, or are you looking at, I'm asking the brands, at, like national campaigns on?
So just to repeat for our audience on LinkedIn, do you have any plans to decentralize, kind of localized promotions, programs, and offers?
Most of ours are national promotions, to be honest with you. We do have affiliations with local sports teams. I think that's what you're implying here. And we do have offers that we engage with them on. But most of our digital promotions and digital marketing is centered around national campaigns. So.
I would say that some of those nuances in localized marketing is part of why we kind of chose the technology stack that we have. And I think there's, again, crawl, walk, run. We're crawling, but having a great time. But I think we see a ton of opportunity. We have local partnerships. People in southern states drink different things in the winter than people in northern states do. And our new markets are a lot different than some of our historic markets. So we tend to see a ton of opportunity in how we talk to our customers.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're not there yet, but I think flexibility is important. And if it made sense, you want to do something at more a local, regional level, you want that technology that allow you to do that. So in the future, definitely.
How do you guys think about, what you want to build versus buy versus insource versus outsource? Like, as you're thinking about kind of your overall vision and program strategy, like, how do you think about kind of those aspects of bringing it to life?
I think it's a struggle because we're all control freaks up here, for being honest. And so we like to control our domain. But I think in the world we live in today, it moves so quickly. So getting, buying the, best of breed and making sure you get integration and things that will talk to each other is super important because it allows you to move faster. And so I think it's a hybrid. I struggle a bit on the differentiation side because I like to control the things that we can differentiate us on. So I think it's a hybrid of kind of choosing the right path between those two.
Yeah, it's been a hybrid model for me too. I've been in environments where we bought it off the shelf and tried to implement it, and we struggled mightily with the integration to the point where we just backed up and redid it again and built it custom from scratch. And had really good luck doing that. There's trade-offs in all these, Kevin, right? But for us, controlling that customer experience in some of the brands that I've been in, it's been so special to us. We're so obsessed with that experience and what we want to offer our guests and our customer that we couldn't find it off the shelf, and we couldn't find it at the speed we were looking for. Now that was the past. Today, I mentioned earlier, I think all of us have a relationship with Hathway, and we love that sense of urgency, Kevin, that you guys bring to the table and the work that you guys do, and that's great. And you can get to where you need to be if that's the case. But I personally don't like to be one of many. That's selfish, I know, but I want to be a priority. And so if I can be a priority and I can get what we want off the shelf, great, let's get it. If not, then I sometimes will lean towards a custom solution. So I think it varies and depends, but we do have a hybrid model as far as sourcing, by the way. We have external third parties helping us, and then we have our internal staff. I think what you said earlier, right? These people, as you guys know, they roll out one day, and you've got to take this system that you now have, that you've been part of building, and you got to continue to operate it and grow it and enhance it. So that's where we sit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's a lot of creativity in technology. I think you can build it any way you want to, and have to really look at what your company has, what you're dealing with, those weird legacy things that you have to work around. And if there's something off the shelf that's best in class that can do what you need right now, great. If not, it's really important to your point, to differentiate yourselves. You got to think about what you want the end experience for the customer to be and work back from there. And I think the rest is actually pretty creative and interesting. So.
Yeah. That's critical right there. I think like the like shiny object syndrome of like, oh, this is a platform that a bunch of other companies have, I got to buy it too. That's where a lot of brands can get into trouble. It's starting with your strategy, your concept, because your customers are different, and then working back to what's the right technology for your organization is critical. You have a question? So question is there still a delineation between technology and marketing?
I say no.
Yeah.
I think at least my experience, the triumvirate of marketing, operations, and technology, those three have to be so tightly knit. Just speaking personally, I have a really great marketing leader and operations leader, and it's a pleasure to work with them every day. Mm-hmm. I know of environments where that's not always the case, and there's strife and friction and challenges and all other things going on that keep you from delivering on your business objectives and ultimately that world-class guest experience you're looking for. So I think those three, actually, if I could add one more, Joe, those three have to be in concert at all times for you to be successful, because these are vertically integrated stacks. And so what you do in terms of offering to the guest, it trickles all the way through, in my opinion, all the way through the restaurant and frankly into your corporate back office, because you're exposing those assets out, to your guests as well.
Yeah, I would add to that. I think it's a barrier if it's not. I've worked in both, and where it's not working, it slows the business down because you can't get agreement, you can't get progress. I've been in places where marketing wasn't involved at all, and it doesn't work that way either. And then the flip where they don't want technology involved, and that doesn't work. So I don't think the future roadmap works at all unless you have all three of those.
I mean, I think I said it before. I think technology is an enabler for what we want to do in marketing. I mean, you guys know how much you look at your screens. We launched an app and had 63% adoption in a year. I think our customer is young and they're using technology all the time. So there's not real life in technology. Technology is part of life and how people communicate. So.
Yeah, so 63% of transactions are attached to the loyalty program. That's pretty incredible. So you guys actually all have strong relationships, business partnerships with your marketing leaders. Are there any best practices or things that you do that help create that strong relationship?
Well, I am the marketing leader,
I know, but
we're doing great.
I have a great relationship with myself.
But we also have amazing partnerships with our technology partners and our agencies. So there's a lot of collaboration there. So.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the best practice. This has just kind of been my mode of operating. I haven't found in working with technology organizations we're the best at creating world-class kind of customer-facing experiences. And so I don't try to pretend that I'm good at that and try to stick my nose into that. I have an opinion. Most people don't ask me for mine on that regard. But at the same time, these are hard things to say. Sometimes people think they know how to build and deploy technology that you have to say, hey, there's like a dotted line right here, and let's respect that dotted line together. And does that come across right? I think just trying to get ahead of that, because if you don't sort of say that and work through that with both marketing and operations, hey, let me help you and you help me, and there's kind of the rules of engagement and the guidelines for doing so. Left unsaid, I've seen examples where those lines get crossed and it leads to challenges and friction like you described earlier, Darla. So again, I'm not sure if that's a best practice. It's just my style of personally working. And so a lot of that, like anything in life, is done through relationship building and spending time with people and understanding where they're coming from and what your objective is. I want to build a rock solid, well-architected and engineered platform that you can go and do great and amazing things on. How do we do that? right? I'm not here to help argue with you whether it's yellow or green or blue or, whatever. Again, that doesn't get me too excited, so. Anyway, that's my thing.
I would say it's the relationships. I think you develop those relationships, and we have a monthly meeting with our core tech and marketing team. And I think it's respect too. Like when we're in board meetings, our CMO and we're together. Like we're doing the presentation together. It's not that's marketing and that's IT. It's digital, and here's what we're doing with digital. And we both have a part, and we both speak in that part. So I think the respect piece is really important, and then the involvement. Inclusion.
So getting to know where the other team is coming from, having alignment around what you're trying to accomplish. It sounds like, having just clear rules of engagement, RACI, between your internal organizations and your partners. Great. Question?
So with the proliferation of digital, particularly with respect to Amazon and how well that they're able to deliver an e-commerce experience, where if they tell you that item's going to be there tomorrow, it's there. How are you guys handling kind of available to promise of delivering on your burgers, your tacos, your coffee, so that when you tell someone it's going to be ready in 10, 15 minutes, that you actually deliver on that promise? When you have to factor in, you've got people in the building, you've got your off-premise business, you've got to kind of factor in the entire picture while working in a small segment of the business through digital.
So consumer expectations are heightened due to organizations like Amazon who have really strong delivery commitments. How do you make good on promise times in relation to those other organizations who are establishing expectations?
Well, I think it's like the best question, because I think it's complicated. We're actually working with a company called Fresh Tech that's helping us kind of work through some of that, because you think about all the inputs. You've got your DSPs, you've got your online ordering, your catering, your restaurant, all those things are coming in. And so really where the rubber meets the road is the kitchen, right? When that order comes in, are you throttling that or sequencing it really to the right level so that when it comes in, you're making the right product for the right promise? We've all ordered from the DSPs, and I love it when you start at 50 minutes. It's like my threshold's like 50. If it goes to 70, I'm probably not going there. But all of a sudden it moved to 90. It's like, how did that just happen? And a lot of it is they're revenue managing their cars, which doesn't help us on the food side. So there's a very complicated piece here that we have to make sure, I think we're constantly looking at to make sure we're understanding what that promise time is, because that will affect our brands. It'll affect people not coming back. But I think we're doing it from the product side, but I think there's another level that we still need to dig into.
Yeah, this one's it's a great question. I don't know how to answer it, because, we're not even thinking about that promise time as much as we probably should right now. For us, it's all ASAP orders on a QSR for a couple minute make time, and so it's a real challenge for us. I'd like to learn from you, I guess I would say, and you out there in the audience, because we're not incredibly capable of that right now. So just to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're going to launch more into that world in the future. We haven't launched into the kind of the mobile order realm yet, so should be. I can't wait to run into all those pain points.
I think we have time for maybe one more question. If anybody has anything burning that they want to ask the panelists. Okay, great.
What have you all found to be a successful marketing technology when it comes to opening in a new market where someone may not be familiar with you?
So are there
Probably geared towards that.
So are there any marketing technology success stories or marketing technologies you've leveraged to open up in new markets?
We are always trying to fine tune that and update our cadences and our processes, but it's like anything. There's so many different things that impact that. It's what social media platforms you're advertising on or communicating on, how you're activating in person, actually boots on the ground people. And then, we're right now working on, in the past we've used Text Club, how the app fits into that instead and how we kind of get awareness. If anybody figures out the easy answer to new markets and marketing, give me a call. But I just say, our grand opening sequence for new markets has evolved a ton over the last year. And a lot of that's just testing and seeing how it went and seeing, what actually gets those eyes on the brand. So I just say, if you think you've got it figured out, test something else and just make sure it's still current and make sure it works for that market. Because we've run sequences that have worked really well, and then you move into Texas and they're playing a different ballgame. So it's kind of a non-answer, but that's the best I got.
Awesome. So last thing I think we're going to share is you'll notice some printed materials at everybody's table. So these are some frameworks that we use that can kind of help you as you're planning how to navigate and kind of move along this advancement journey. So there's a number of different frameworks, models. This is a digital maturity model as it relates to how you communicate with your guests and how you go from kind of basic batch and blast to more macro segmentation to micro segmentation, ultimately getting to that kind of point of more personalization. So we use this tool with nearly all of our clients, and it's just kind of like a planning framework. I think it's a process that's important. There's value in going through the process versus just going and trying to buy a personalization technology and jumping straight to the end. There's learnings with your organization partners that if you take this process step by step, it's just a really helpful planning framework. And then adjacent to that is a marketing technology maturity model. And again, how you look at evolving your CDP from its kind of earliest, initiation, deployment to evolving it over time, adding in more data sources, so that again you can enable your marketing communication strategies. So we want to share these with you, and then the last material that everybody has is a campaign planning worksheet that again we'll use with clients as we're kind of mapping out what are the end state that we're trying to accomplish, what are the different kind of campaigns that we want to be able to automate, and then work that back to where are the data sources coming from, what are the platforms I need, and again all three of these kind of frameworks work together as a great way to help plan your maturity journey. And with that, I think we're going to wrap. So if everybody could help me, join me in giving our panelists a round of applause. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I think we'll be around for a few minutes if anybody wants to ask questions.